everyone, welcome to Virtual Vegfest Live. This is Helene, and I'm excited about today. I'm excited about every day that we do this, but when I bring someone on that I know and is a dear friend, it makes it even better, even though she's like 15 minutes away. So, Jennifer Hadley is here with us today, and she is super awesome and a wildlife photographer, and she travels the world and definitely a person to be jealous of. But first, let's say thank you to Plant Based Network for being our partner in Virtual Veg Fest and our new Pass the Buck campaign for this month. We are raising money for the Pig Preserve. They are in Eastern Tennessee, and Afton has been on live with us. You can check out her live on Virtual Veg Fest YouTube, and you can subscribe to our Virtual Veg Fest YouTube. And of course, if you like our social media, you can be entered to win a prize pack from Follow Your Heart, which was just posted. You can see like the amount of stuff that Follow Your Heart sent our winner is amazing, above and beyond. And then Crofters Organic and Hodo Foods and Orgain all send not us, they send you prize packs monthly just for liking Virtual Veg Fest. How awesome is that? So let's talk about Jennifer. Jennifer is local to Raleigh, North Carolina. She's in our community here, which is amazing. She kind of said, hey, I want to go take pictures of animals. And takes incredible pictures of wildlife. Not like cats and dogs, even though those are great too. But the picture quality, the art that she creates. And she's very humble. We have to convince her of how great she is, because she is. And you'll see when you get to meet her here. But really, I've sat with her at Fiction Kitchen and had dinner and kept saying, no, you're really good. This is incredible. And we're going to get to see some of that art because she's going to show us a PowerPoint. And I'm going to be doing a lot of ahs and ohs and oohs, just like you are when you see it. So once again, if you have questions or comments, please put them in the little box and we'll definitely get to them. And I'm going to go grab Jennifer and bring her on and hope this works correctly. Hey, I don't have you muted. Let me get you unmuted. Hey, how are you?
Hi, Helene. How are you?
I'm doing well. I'm doing really well. I'm super excited, and we got all our tech stuff ready. So I'm gonna throw this at you for a moment so you can tell people who you are and how you started with what you do. I didn't even touch on the fact that your house is a menagerie of animals and you're still married even though you keep bringing more animals into the house. So I suggest you share how many dogs, how many cats, how many children, husband, you, beautiful house in Raleigh, which I absolutely love, and then go into how you started. I know the traveling bug has always been with you, but how you started with taking these photos.
All right. Well, thanks for having me on, Helene. I really appreciate it, and really excited to share these with you. I live in Raleigh, North Carolina, like you said, and I have a husband still, although he threatens me often with divorce if I bring any more animals home. Currently, we have 4 dogs and 6 cats, and a lot of them are foster fails. So I don't think we're allowed to foster anymore either. I also have 2 kids who are 12 and 14, a boy and a girl. Yeah, I'd love to share the travel and wildlife with them as well, because I think it's really important for kids to kind of see the world around them and appreciate nature and appreciate the wildlife, and grow up to be good stewards of our environment and our planet. And the way I got started in wildlife photography, I've always loved wildlife. I've always loved animals since my first memory and since I can remember. I always liked taking pictures, but I never really did anything with it. I just pointed a camera and took a picture, and that was about it. And about 2.5 years ago or so, I really started to think about, what can I do with photography? Because I thought I had an eye for scenes and for animals. And because I love animals so much, I was really able to kind of watch them and learn their language. And it kind of dawned on me that I wanted to be able to tell their stories and show them to people as the individuals that they are, and show the environments that they live in, and really kind of tell their story and make people understand and want to, save them, because our wild spaces and our wildlife is shrinking, and I think the world would be a really, bad place without them. And so I just started, going out more and traveling more, and really thinking about the photography aspect of it and bringing them to, everybody. And so that's what I've been doing, and I've been trying to, improve that and improve my technical skills, and also really learn about the animals and really learn about, their lives and how they communicate with each other and with us. And that's basically, where I am today. So just, I love being in nature. I love being around animals. And so this is a passion, and one that I hope to continue for the rest of my life.
Yeah, you're incredibly fortunate to have been able to travel to places, I mean, the other side of the world,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, can you share more of the places that you've been to? Just so people
Sure.
know, this is like, we're talking not, I mean, you go to, in North Carolina, you go and you photograph the bears, so you go a few hours away, but we're not talking like United States. We're talking
Right.
literally all over the world.
Yeah, I've been to 6 continents so far, and most people are surprised that the continent I've not been to is Asia, of all places. And we were actually supposed to go in April, and because of COVID, obviously, like most travel this year, it has been either canceled or postponed. But I have been to Antarctica. I've been to the high Arctic to photograph polar bears. And then I've been all over Europe. I've been all over our country, photographing our own wildlife, Canada. So South America. So there's definitely a lot of places still to go, and I have a lot of trips planned. Africa, I guess I should add Africa. Um, yeah, there's I still need to hit Asia, and once I do, hopefully next year, I will have visited all 7 continents.
That's incredible. And then the animals that you photographed on these continents,
Hmm.
what are they?
Well, in the high Arctic, the draw, of course, was polar bears, and walruses and Arctic fox, and whales. I photographed a blue whale in the Arctic. In Antarctica, it was penguins and humpback whales, and seals, and so it's a whole menagerie of animals from the poles. And in Africa, obviously, all the ones everyone knows about, lions and giraffe, some very, I've photographed, and I have some pictures later, animals that are really struggling for their very survival, including right here in North Carolina, the red wolf. And I'll, when we get down to that part of the pictures, I'll show you the red wolf, and there's only, according to some estimates, only 8 to 15 or so left in the wild, and this is worldwide. They're only found here in North Carolina, on the coast, and that's it. There's no more left in the wild. So there's a lot of there's some programs that are trying to breed them in captivity and release them in the wild, although that's stalled at the moment. But their story is probably one of the kind of saddest, as far as their extinction being in the very near future if we don't do something really drastic soon. And so having been able to photograph an animal like that was really exciting, obviously. And I hope to show people that they really are, beautiful animals that, deserve a chance in the wild.
Oh, definitely. I mean, the bears.
Favorite. I love the bears.
The bears, moms and the cubs. I mean,
Mhm.
they're just kind of preparing everyone for the cuteness
All right.
that's
Well,
coming.
we can jump into the cuteness for sure. I just, I wanted to just say something about the photo that you see on the screen. And actually, this was a really chance photo. It wasn't supposed to be. And what I'm trying to do is kind of tell the animal story in their environment, and really show people their personality. And so this was actually, I was photographing 2 other bears, and this is from quite far away. And it was getting quite dark. And I was photographing these other two bears that were quite close. And then out of the corner of my eye, I see something moving. And so I swung around with the camera, and I literally had, a couple of seconds, but I just kind of snapped. I wasn't able to change settings. It happened so quickly, but I grabbed a photo, and I titled it when no one's watching the bears dance in the forest. And it kind of tells a lot, it tells a story of them and where they are. It, presents a lot of things, hope, the light at the end of the tunnel. It might be scary. There's these, large predators in the picture, but they don't really look very scary because they're cubs and are playing. So maybe it's not really scary. There's a tunnel, there's a journey. So it's just their story. But I love this shot because it just tells a story, and it leaves people wondering, what happened in this picture? What were they doing exactly? Photography is all about emotion and evoking, and evokes different emotions for different people. But my job is to bring their stories and let people, interpret those stories as they will. So that's my little bears playing in the forest. Starting here, this is actually on the right, and this was when I first started going to the coast, because all the travel was canceled this year. I said, I really need to get out in nature. I really need to go somewhere. And so I started going to the coast. And lo and behold, I discovered that we have the largest concentration of black bears anywhere in the country. And, I started going, I started kind of seeing the same bears over and over and over again. And one of the things that happened very early on is I was leaving one day, and I was actually by myself. I bring friends usually, but I was completely by myself, and it was getting dark, and I came across this mom. She was well hidden in the tall grass. I didn't see her, and one of her cubs actually ran up a tree, and that was my first indication that something was happening. And of course, the momentary excitement I felt of seeing a bear cub faded very quickly as mom came charging out of the tall grass. And, I carry bear spray, but I backed up very quickly. And, I gave her space, and she growled, she false charged. I backed up and I gave her lots of space. And then finally, when it was clear, I went ahead and proceeded to go around. But on this occasion, when I took this picture, she actually would not let us pass on the path. And there's only one way to kind of go in to this area. And she stood, and she came out on the path, and she kind of stood there, and she looked at us, and you can see the look she has on her face, and very clearly told us that she did not want us to pass. But that's one of her cubs right there. This has actually been one of the most popular pictures on social media. There have been numerous artists rendering of this picture. And again, it tells a story. It kind of, it's a little bear cub, and he's thinking, and what is he thinking about? And we don't know, but it leaves that open to people's imaginations, but it's really captured people's imaginations about what this bear cub could be doing. So one of my favorite little poses of a bear cub. And so I've had a lot of time to spend with these families, which has been really, really cool, because I see the same families over and over, and I've kind of been watching the cubs grow. This is two separate families. The moment on the right, I kind of captured this very large male bear, kind of was coming out of the forest, and this mom with her 3 cubs on the right scurried up a tree, and the little cub came over and kind of laid down on his mom's paw, and she knelt down to kind of give him a little nudge on the nose. And it was just a really cute, tender moment between mom and cub. And not unlike any mom and child relationship, all of these animals share that with us. They love their babies, they protect their babies, and they share these tender moments together. And then there's another family on the left, a mom and with 2 cubs that they were just very, very cute and playful, and very early one morning, before anyone had a chance to come down this road that I was on, I captured them, and it was a really special moment with them. These guys, they are siblings, and there's actually a third. There's a female sibling as well. But these guys, I've run into them numerous occasions. They're a little bit bigger. They're about 1 year old probably, and but they, two boys, and they just love to roughhouse like all boys probably. And it's just so much fun to watch them interact, and they roll around and they play and they bite each other, and they just go at it for a long, long time. And then they'll go off to take a nap when mom has had enough. But it's been a real privilege to see them on numerous occasions. So this year I've actually been able to travel to Alaska twice because all international travel has been kind of halted. I decided to go to Alaska and to Brooks Falls, and met some really amazing bears there. This mom had just one little cub, and she's playing with him right there on the left. And then the next morning, I caught them on the beach, and her little cub found a stick to play with, and it was very tempting to ask him to play fetch, but I don't think mom would have appreciated that. But it's fun to watch them interact, and it's really fun to see their expressions and the look on their faces. As you can see, the little cub was just tackling his mom, and he kept jumping on her, and finally she kind of playfully bit him back, and he had this shocked look on his face. So it was very, very cute. And here's some birds, but a penguin and an eagle. And I like these photos because they show how nurturing, wildlife is, and how nurturing moms and dads are. That's actually the male eagle, and he's feeding his baby in the nest, and kind of making little chunks from whatever it was that he brought up to the nest, and feeding his baby. And both, in the eagle family, both mom and dad shared that responsibility of rearing the chicks. And then this is a penguin in the Arctic, and with a very little hatchling. There's actually a second one way under there that you can't see, but very tender moments between parents and their kids in the wild. And here's some more bears from another part of Alaska at the Redoubt volcano, Redoubt Mountain Lodge. And this is a mom that had two cubs, and they just ate fish all day long, and then they were still hungry. So she laid down to nurse them, but just a very tender moment how she put her paws around them and nursed them right there on the beach. And then this is another mom fishing for her cubs, and very successfully. The other thing, there's a lot of animals that are really maligned and really misunderstood, and feared and dreaded by some people. And so I really like to bring, them to people's attention, because they're animals just like any other, and they may not be as cute as people kind of imagine, but they're really nice animals. Alligators and crocodiles are one of those animals that I really, really like. They've survived almost unchanged since the dinosaur era. So it's pretty amazing how long they've been on this planet, how little they've changed. I mean, it's a really prehistoric animal. But this is in Belize, this crocodile who was actually quite friendly and liked people apparently, and would come right up. Luckily, there was a little fence right there that I was behind, so that I could be close but not be eaten. And on the right are some fruit bats from Rwanda, and they're just, bats are just such amazing animals, and very, very beneficial to an ecosystem. They're very necessary. But they're also just super adorable, I think. And I thought this picture made them look like just cute little flying puppies. The other thing I kind of like to do is also, show animals in their environment. And so kind of pan out a little bit and just, just show what's around the animal. This is two different bull moose in two different parts of Alaska. this fall in September, and yeah, just really, really beautiful animals in a really, really beautiful place. And these wild places are just so special and, you know, really worth protecting and worth saving. A little bit more from, well, no, I guess we haven't gone here yet, but this is in Grand Teton. I just went recently, another bull moose against the Teton Range Mountains, and a coyote. And this coyote actually was really friendly and just kind of stuck around, just sat there with me for about 15 or 20 minutes while I changed lenses and took his picture in various ways. And he just kind of sat and watched me, and just not only a beautiful place, but a really beautiful animal. This is back to Alaska, the bear on the left. This is from Fat Bear Week, and this is on Brooks Falls. And the biggest bears, males, all kind of clamor for the best spots. And so if you're the biggest bear, if you're the fattest bear, if you're the toughest bear, you kind of get the best spots. And this bear in particular liked this one spot, and he always stood in this one spot. And he would catch a fish passing by, and he would go off to the right a little bit and eat the fish, and then come back and stay in this one spot exactly the same way, time and time again. So it was, I knew what he was going to do, and I set up a nice photo opportunity to capture him with kind of the flowy waves and show the kind of environment that he's in. And the picture on the right, of course, is a bear, and then with an airplane landing that you can only get to Brooks Falls by seaplane. So that's the little plane that you have to take over there to get there. This is again from some more from Alaska. Just beautiful environment, this beautiful lake, and there were all these bear families there, moms with their cubs, and it's the moms and the cubs that really kind of stay in the lake areas and come down and fish here. And so there was several families with moms and cubs. This is just some more birds, and I love the one on the left, a seagull. And this seagull was I photographed in Canada, but he was a bit funny because there was a lot of seagulls, and he had caught this prized starfish. And because the other gulls really wanted to share with him, and he didn't want to share, he tried to swallow the whole thing, which was not successful. But this went on for about an hour as he tried to kind of peck at it and then swallow it whole and put it down and peck at it again. So it was just he was a really funny seagull, and funny scene that unfolded in front of me with him trying to protect his catch. And then this is just, this is a bald eagle in Alaska. It was a really dreary, rainy day, and you can kind of, get that mood and the scene, and there's water flying off the eagle. But again, this lake, Crescent Lake, was just really beautiful area. So with eagles and bears and moose, it's just a really, really beautiful place to visit. And here's some more moms, and I love catching these animals in a moment that tells something of their story and tells something of who they are. This picture on the right was actually after a really, really tense moment, and this family, as well as another bear family, was on this one beach, and they kind of stayed in their corners, but everyone was a little bit on alert. But out of nowhere, these two other bears came, these subadult sisters, and they came right up to this mom with her three cubs. And so the cubs are standing, and everyone's kind of tense, and the mom lowers her head and kind of like makes some aggressive moves towards the two sisters. And luckily, the two sisters kind of walked away, and everything was avoided. But the mom came up to her three cubs at this moment and just kind of rubbed up against them, each of them a little bit. And you can see right here, she rubs up against this one cub, and they seemed so kind of relieved almost that any kind of altercation was averted, and she seemed relieved as well. And so this picture kind of captured that moment for me. And then the bear on the left is another mom, and she, I think, was a young mom because she didn't seem as experienced in fishing, and she kind of pounced all around and wasn't quite as accomplished, but she stood up kind of right in front of us in this boat, and she just looked quite intimidating. But She was just fishing. She didn't mind that we were there, but she just wasn't quite as good at it yet. But I'm sure she'll get better as time goes on. And then these are a couple of the little cubs, and just, they're just like us and our kids. They play, they wrestle. That cub on the right there's a moment of tension when there was another bear kind of on a little ways down, and he was very busy eating, but he stood up and made sure everything was a-okay, and then he kind of continued eating. But it's really fun to watch them play and to watch them interact together, the whole family. And this is on Brooks Falls, and this is, again, during Fat Bear Week. That bear on the left is 747, and he's aptly named because he's massive, almost probably between 1,500 and 1,600 pounds. He actually won Fat Bear Week this year, which I'm very excited about because I got to spend quite a little bit of time with him as he sat and fished for salmon. But he was just a really beautiful bear, but very, very large. And that picture on the right is a typically what you see on Brooks Falls. The bears will line up in their positions and try to catch the fish right out of the air as the salmon jump. And the salmon jump more in July, but in September they're still jumping, although not as frequently. And so I was really excited to catch this shot of the bear opening his mouth and the fish kind of headed that way. Here's some lazy bears. And these are all brown bears, by the way. And the reason, the brown bears, they're actually the same as grizzlies, but brown bears tend to be on the coast and eat mainly fish, whereas grizzly bears are in the interior and eat mostly vegetation, and then sometimes elk and moose and things like that. But so brown bears are typically quite a bit bigger than grizzly bears because they're eating mostly fish, and so they're getting a lot of fat into their body. So some of these guys can be very, very large. And this was just a bear on the left that was sitting in our path. We were coming down from Brooks Falls, and he just kind of sat there on the path, and we just sat and waited. So that's kind of the bear jam of Alaska, if you will. Some more. These guys on the left were actually kind of surprise bears. We weren't expecting to see them there. We were driving away, back to Anchorage, and we stopped on the side where there was, we thought there might be some bears because of a salmon run. And sure enough, we caught up with these two cubs, although they're quite big at this point, and their mom. And so and they played for probably an hour. They just wrestled and wrestled while mom fished and would go into the woods and eat. And here's a mom bear on the right here. She's the one facing the camera. She was actually, this is a male bear, and she kind of just went after him, and he was quite far, but she's the one with the one cub, and she just did not like him being anywhere near them, and she just went after him and just kind of unloaded on him, which was interesting to watch. No one was hurt, but she kind of let him know that she didn't appreciate him being there, and then she walked off and went back to her baby. One of my favorite things to do is kind of catch wildlife in a funny moment, or really kind of showing their personalities. This, when I first started photography, I went to Antarctica, and this picture on the left is of a wiener seal. And these are, what he will grow into is one of those huge seals, elephant seals. But once mom leaves, they're still quite, they're still quite needy, and they want some love. And they will literally crawl all over your lap if you sit down. And this one wiener seal, I named him Norman, he just followed me around, and he was just adorable, and he just would want to suckle my knees or my elbows. And so he obviously missed mom, but mom had already left. And so he was just adorable and really fun to photograph, being himself. And this is a black bear on the East Coast here. And I just thought, he was really, he was yelling out something. No, nobody knows, but I just love the little pose that he took in that picture. Here's some moose from Grand Teton. And the moose on the left are two males. The rut is over, so they're kind of done fighting. So this was just more practicing. The bull on the left is quite a bit bigger and older, and he had a very, very big antlers, and the one on the right is not quite. But they kind of half-heartedly, butted each other with their antlers and kind of, play fighting almost. So it was kind of nice to watch them. They went at that for a while. And the picture on the right is actually Shoshone, and he is the largest moose in Grand Teton. So to have caught up with him was really, really amazing, and just such a joy to watch him. He's absolutely massive, as you can probably tell from his antlers, but I caught him in a little smile right there, and I thought that was pretty cool. Here's some more comedic animals. This is in Antarctica, and the ones on the left are South Georgia Island, and I just love those two. They seem like they're having a bit of a fight, and someone is being given the fin. And then this penguin on the right was just, he had a bunch of buddies with him, and he kind of walked away from them, and I was kneeling down on the sand here, and he kind of was really curious about my lens, and he was a little bit timid and didn't really want to approach me, but he was also really, really curious. So he kind of got as close as he wanted to, and then kind of, really poked his head out to check out my lens. But I love that shot because it just really shows, that they're really curious about us, just as much as we're curious about them. And if you just kind of sit still and let them come, and explore, that they'll come up to you and they'll show you their personalities, and that's a really special experience. And another maligned animal, the alligator, and but look at that smile. It's I love his smile. Just really shows his personality. He was just sunning himself in the grass, and just a really lovely alligator. And then even this little bug has a smile. It's a little dragonfly, and I was actually waiting for bears and just kind of sitting, waiting for bears, and he was buzzing around, and I decided to change my lens out real quick and get a little picture of him. But I love that he's smiling, and it just shows that all the creatures have their little personalities and their lives. And well, one of the best things I've been able to do, and one of the things I'm most fortunate about, is to have been able to photograph some really endangered animals in the wild. Here on the left, of course, is a gorilla, and this was in Rwanda. And their recovery has been very successful in Volcanoes National Park, and the Rwandan government has done a really great job in keeping them safe, and also letting them have the space to have babies and have their families. And so that population has grown by about 23% last year, which is really amazing, and hope that continues. And on the right is a Rothschild giraffe. There's only about 1,600 of them left in all of the wild. This is actually in Uganda, and they're only in two places. One of them is Queen Elizabeth National Park in Uganda, or actually, I'm sorry, that was Murchison Falls. That's really it. So after 1,600, that's it. And so to see them was really, really special. And it would be a real loss to not have them with us anymore. And of course, lions and elephants are all suffering from declines due to poaching, due to habitat loss, due to run-ins with humans in villages, etc. So before I got to Uganda, where I took a picture of this male lion in a tree, there were 14 lions that were poisoned because they had gotten too close to the villages. So, there's a lot of work to be done on the ground, working with villagers, working with the community, and, finding ways to not have that human-animal conflict. There's definitely success stories out there, but there's a lot more work to be done. So, this is just going to increase as we continue to kind of go into their areas, into their territories, and take land away from them. It's, even the fragmentation of their land is really hard for them because they migrate, they go from place to place, they travel hundreds of miles sometimes. So it's really important to understand, what our human activities are doing to, hurt these animals and lessen their chances of survival. And of course, I talked before about encountering a red wolf in the wild on the coast here of North Carolina. This was, just a really magical moment for me because, to see an animal that is like one of the most endangered animals in the world, and certainly the most endangered wolf, to be able to see him in the wild and then to be able to actually photograph him was really a special moment for me. And I hope to run into him again, but with 8 to 14 left in the wild, I'm really keeping my fingers crossed that I do get another opportunity. But I know there's a lot of groups right now working really hard with the North Carolina wildlife agencies to, to release red wolves into the wild and to grow their populations. And so I hope, through the legal actions and through people just getting involved and calling the legislators and having their voice heard, that we will succeed and will grow their populations. And of course, everyone knows the story of the polar bear. The polar bear is, one of the most endangered animals, mostly due to climate change. Climate change is, once there's no snow, once there's no ice, polar bear can't hunt. It was devastating to see in the Arctic. I saw one polar bear that was very skinny, that was malnourished, and it just broke my heart. This one was quite healthy and had recently fed, as you can see by the blood on his head, the dried blood. But it would be a really devastating loss to not have polar bears in the wild, and so we really need to act as citizens of the world to do something about that. Helene, I don't know if you wanted to talk about anything before we get into what I'm doing next year.
No, keep going. You're doing great.
Okay. So I'm actually really excited to announce that I have teamed up with World Vegan Travel to do 2 trips with them next year. And they will be in September and December of next year. I really, I hope you guys look them up. They're a really awesome travel company. They're completely vegan. They go to some amazing places. I'm doing 2 trips with them, but they've got all sorts of trips, for next year and the year after. Everything is, I traveled with them to Rwanda last year. I've had a lot of friends travel with them. They are absolutely top notch. Everything is taken care of from the moment you land to the moment you leave. All of your lodging, meals are all vegan and they're phenomenal. All the travel, you got your private cars, your private buses. It's a really phenomenal way to experience wildlife and to experience a place where you don't have to worry about what you're going to eat. Everything is just really top notch and done really well. I will be going with them on a trip to South Africa and the garden route. The garden route is along the coast of South Africa. It'll go from South Africa to Port Elizabeth, and it's an absolutely amazing place, right on the water. Amazing scenery. It's kind of out of this world. I've been there before. It's just, you kind of look around and you almost can't believe what you're witnessing, what you're seeing. But the benefit of going on this trip is that on every single safari drive, there will be a photography-focused vehicle that I will be leading. I won't be driving, I promise. So for anyone who's really interested in spending a little more time, maybe with a particular set of animals, we won't have to rush off to go to the next thing. I'll also be able to, help you with any photography needs, how to take a photo, how to position yourself, etc. We could talk about all sorts of photography stuff, but it'll be a dedicated car just for people who want to really focus on, staying with the animals or photography. I will have a collection of photos that people will be able to keep afterwards. They're yours. You can do whatever you want with them. I'll be giving a couple of photography talks, and I can help people one-on-one, with all sorts of stuff from, camera settings to composition to lighting, anything that people really want to know a little more about. I'll be able to help them one-on-one. And like I said, just awesome accommodations, and delicious food all along the way. You'll have more than enough. I found we were just constantly eating. We had so much food, but it's all delicious, and it's just a really, really great way to travel. So I encourage you to check that out. The trip to South Africa has an early bird discount. It just got announced. So go check that out on their website, which is right there, www.worldvegantravel.com. And the second trip that I'm so excited about is going to be over New Year. So what better way to spend New Year than with wildlife and out in nature with really awesome people. And so we are going to Botswana. There's only a few spots left in this on this trip. So, book fast. It's on December 28th to January 6th. And again, same thing. There's going to be a safari, photography-focused safari vehicle on every drive. And I will be able to, help with any kind of camera needs, or, we can stay longer with animals that we want to stay with, or watch some more. So it's a really great way to see the wildlife and see these places. And everything is taken care of, every little bit. You literally don't have to think about anything. It's phenomenal. So you just go. You have a great time. You meet some wonderful people. I have everyone that went on the Rwanda trip I've spoken to since. They're wonderful people. It's been really great, and some of them I've even got together with and gone visited. So it's a great way to meet really awesome people as well. So check them out. They're a really great company. You can email them, ask them any question you want. Check out their website there, and I hope to see you on one of these trips. And that is the end of my pictures there. I don't know, let me go back to the very first slide, and I have my contact information on there. Eileen, can you see that?
Yes.
So if anyone wants to check out, I have a website and my Instagram feed, and if you want to email me anything, or have questions, please email me at jenniferhadleyphotography.com.
Okay. I'm just putting that into the notes. Oops, that's not going to work. Email. Your email needs to be updated.
It does?
JenniferHadleyphotography.com. So there's not an actual email, just go to the website.
Oh, you know what? I'm sorry. You're absolutely right. It's at gmail.com.
No problem. So that's okay.
It's a little bit crazy. And so, yeah, you're right. That is not correct.
But it will be there. Okay, I'm going to X out of the shared screen.
Okay.
And let me see, to the right, to the left. Let's get rid of the middle. Okay, there we are. Everyone will see us all come together. Oh, we've got such loving stuff as you were talking that I didn't want to put onto the screen, but I'm going to put these first so that people can see how to get in touch with you. Right? And then we'll go backwards to say, Barbara Lemon said you're an amazing photographer.
Thank you, Barbara.
And then Susan Pennington said, and so knowledgeable about your subjects.
Thank you. And I want to make a point about that. Thank you for bringing that up, Susan. That's really an important part to talk about, because, to be around, people always ask me like, well, aren't you nervous with, when you get so close to bears or when you're out there with them? And, yes, with wildlife, you have to, really understand the body language. That's so important. You can't, obviously I take, precautions very seriously. I make sure I never go into an animal space that doesn't want me there. And I really have, with being with these bears for so many times and over so much over the course of since March of this year, I've really gotten to know their body language. And it's really important. Like, the shot is never worth distressing an animal about. I think that's so important. We see, I see a lot of bad behavior out there, with people trying to get a shot. You have to remember, I have, a huge lens. I have a bunch of lenses, but I have a massive lens that, I can be far away. So, I've seen people try to get very close to bears with their iPhones, and they're trying to get the picture. Well, it's very hard to get a picture with an iPhone of a large animal like this without getting very close. So you just, you can't. You have to respect the animal's space. And so I really, by spending time with them, I've really gotten to know, their body language and what they want to tell me. And if an animal's uncomfortable, I'm walking away. It's not worth, distressing them, because then things can go wrong. You hope it doesn't, but things can go wrong. So you really need to pay attention to what they're trying to tell you.
Oh, that's,
so thank you for bringing that up.
That's great advice. And Elizabeth, hi Elizabeth. She said, "Loving this presentation. Thank you. So awesome to hear the backstory of each photo."
Thanks, Elizabeth. Appreciate that.
Right. And then Nancy just said, "Yay, Jennifer."
Hi, Nancy. So Nancy is actually a really good friend of mine, and she photographs the bears with me a lot. So we go on trips together. In fact, we have a trip coming up to Yellowstone in the winter, which so excited about. But in January, Nancy and I are going together to Yellowstone to photograph hopefully wolves and bison. And Nancy is a phenomenal photographer as well.
So I just want people to know something about Jennifer that I don't know if you'll share yourself, but that I know. Jennifer hates to fly.
Oh.
So just so people understand that she's that little plane, like, I saw do not like to fly, and you're a very nervous flyer, and you are doing all this travel as a person who hates to fly.
I'm terrified of flying, but it's necessary to get to where I need to go. So
right, it's a necessary evil to do the things that you love. Right, exactly.
Right.
Right, and you're traveling now. I mean, I understand enough about air travel that the air on the plane with COVID, we're in the middle of a pandemic still. The air on the plane is likely safer than the air you would breathe in your home, in a store, or pretty much anywhere else because of the filtration system. It's like super duper filtration. It's no longer like the person in row A is breathing and coughing and I've been that person and you're catching whatever the mail's going to be here. So Jennifer, talk about that while I mute myself.
I've there's not been many opportunities to travel overseas, obviously, because borders are closed. But I've traveled within the U.S. I've gone to Alaska. I went to Wyoming, and yes, I actually felt really comfortable traveling. I think the airlines are doing a really great job, sanitizing. Yes, the filtration system on airplanes is the best anywhere. And of course they've upped that. They've put extra things in. They're running it much more frequently. I think every couple of minutes. And so masks. I've seen. I know we've all heard of some bad behavior on airplanes, but from what I've seen, everyone is really compliant with masks. Everyone is required to have a mask on board at all times. So it's really, I've been really confident and comfortable traveling, this year with the proper precautions in place. And, hopefully by next year, everything's, just really kind of, I don't want to say back to normal because it depends on what the normal is. But, I think things will be a lot better next year. But I've been very comfortable, traveling recently. So.
No, I really feel like my dog's going to go ballistic any moment. So, yeah, the traveling thing, it's difficult because of this virus and the fact that we're not welcome in other countries yet. And hopefully, we'll get a handle on everything, after January 20th. And we'll start having a plan in this country to work on the virus and all that. So if you can talk more about that while I mute myself again.
Yeah, I'm actually, some countries are starting to open up. I'm actually headed to Kenya and Tanzania in December. African countries, a lot of these areas, especially where wildlife is, are heavily dependent on tourism. And we all know this. So when tourism is down, the animals really suffer. And so, there's not enough money for rangers, there's not enough money for protection, there's not enough money for conservation. So, the African countries have done a really phenomenal job at not only controlling COVID, but doing all the right things to have travelers come back. And so I'm going, I'm bringing my kids, I'm bringing my husband to Kenya and Tanzania. There's a lot of countries opening up in Africa. And so I think, I really want to be able to support areas and travel there. So I'm going to go, and I think things will be a lot better next year for that kind of travel.
Oh, that's fantastic. I hope so. I mean, it would be nice to. It was a little nerve-wracking to travel by car and you go into Tennessee and doing an event and all of that. But I know I can do it, right?
Yep.
It's just the safety first
Yep.
is the number one thing. And of course, with what you're doing, you're not really around a lot of people.
Yeah, I mean, the 2 trips that I'm going on next year to Botswana and South Africa, you're with this small group. You're not on any public transportation. We're all going to be together. And yes, safety is number one. Making sure everyone's, and on safari, you're outside. So everything that can be done is being done. And there's a lot of things up in the air still, but I think by next year, we'll have a much better handle on things.
No, that's great. Now, if anyone wanted to purchase any of your photography, how would they do that?
Well, I have everything on my website. If you see a picture on, my Instagram, for instance, and you don't see it on my website, please email me or, send me a message through Instagram. I'm happy to put things on the website. I don't always get around to putting things on the website as quickly as possible, just because, I need to do resizing and things. So if you see something you like, and I can also do custom work. So if you don't see something you like on the website and you say, well, I want this size or I want this kind of format, I have a lot more options directly with the vendor that I use for printing. And I can work with you one-on-one on getting you exactly what you want.
That's fantastic. Thank you so much for sharing this with us.
Thank you, Helene. I really enjoyed being here and seeing you. And,
Oh yeah, I know. I wish we can go to dinner, but
one day.
it'll happen. It'll happen again. And this is. I mean, I was muted, right? So during your whole presentation, but I mean, seriously, you touched on many of the animals from what people would consider cute or not so cute to and putting them in a frame of they're a sentient being.
Yeah.
And why it matters that they're still here with us on this planet moving forward to the future. And that's another reason why, I mean, you're vegan, just if anyone didn't know, 'cause it doesn't come up in this type of presentation, that you're an ethical vegan living in your house with raising your kids who were on our vegan children's panel back in 2016, which is really cool. And you're doing your part to say, hey, I don't just go out and say save these animals, and personally I'm doing everything I can to save these animals too.
Thank you. Yes. I think that's a really important point, that all of them play a role, whether they're cute to us or not cute to us. The ecosystem is a really fragile and complex thing. And so every animal plays a role, and every animal is important in that ecosystem, and to the health of other animals and to their ecosystem. So it's been an honor to capture these animals, and I really hope that other people see these photos and realize that they're really worth saving, and they're really worth having on our planet.
Right, or getting the bug to go and take pictures of them, or just to observe, because your pictures don't have to be a physical or digital item. They can be your memories.
Yep. An experience. Yep.
Right. Yep. Because that's important too. And I know you share that with your family. You have probably the most adventurous family. All 4 of you are just, you're thrill seekers, which is really cool. It's cool to watch.
Yeah, my kids are a little crazy.
Well, it comes from the parents. You guys are, all four of you, and really enjoy, swimming with sharks and cliff diving and, but I mean, obviously traveling to like the coldest part of the world and some of the hottest part of the world. I mean, you're doing it, and I commend you for one having the ability to do that and doing it because it's really cool. It's fun to watch. It's fun to it's great to be friends with you
Okay.
and support everything that you're doing because I do.
I really appreciate that.
No, it's no problem. And I thank you. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you. I really enjoyed being on.
Oh, no problem. I'll say goodbye now. Bye,
All right.
Jennifer.
Thanks, everyone.
Bye.
Bye. Bye, Helene.
Bye.
Bye.
So here we are. Thank you so much for watching another Virtual Vegfest Live. That was incredible. I hope you enjoyed the slideshow of all the animals as much as I did. And Jennifer's sharing about the story on each and every one. And of course, this will be up on our YouTube channel that you can go and subscribe to and watch this again and show other people and share it because this is one where all ages will absolutely love it. And of course, making sure everyone understands that it's important to protect the planet and the animals that live on it and share it with us. So, of course, there we go. Just in time. So, everyone, please wear a mask when you go out. It's incredibly important. It goes over your nose, under your chin. Very cool. Not here, not here, not here. Wear it correctly. And that is the safest way to wear your mask. Incredibly important. I no longer have to share with you that you have to vote because you did. And now we just have to wait and see who won. And that will be hopefully by, tomorrow. Well, no, I have my own thoughts and feelings. So just now I implore upon you to be safe and be kind to one another because half the country wanted it one way and the other half wanted another. So we're going to all live amongst one another for as long as we live. And it's important to love and care about one another, no matter what the outcome is, and to make it a smooth transition of power. So, outside of that, wear your mask. We'll see you on Sunday at 4 p.m. Oh my gosh, EST, because I can't speak right now. We'll see you on Sunday at 4 p.m. because Karen is joining us from Fine Veg Love. So if you are single and you are a vegan, or you're a vegetarian, or you're veg curious, and you're looking for love, and you want that person to be a vegan, vegetarian person, you might want to tune in and find out how you can do that. And I'll see you then. Have a great rest of your night. Bye.